Getting the highest possible conversion rate on your website is one of the best and most important things you can do for just about any business. But a lot of the advice around this is super outdated and just makes things sound way too complicated. But the truth is, optimizing for conversions is actually pretty simple. You just need to know what really matters. So if you just give me the next 8 minutes of your time, I will show you the 5 most highest impact techniques that you can implement on your landing page to get a ton more leads and sales than what you're already getting. Technique number 1, implement what I call the PaintoProof section. This is where you call out and acknowledge your customer's biggest pain points and immediately prove how you can solve it. This technique is super powerful, especially for cold traffic, because you're telling people instantly whether they're in the right place or not, and you're speaking directly to their core emotions, their goals, and their struggles. I've seen so many people convert and take action right there and then just after seeing the section, or they continue to scroll down and engage further when they otherwise would not have. So to implement this for B2B, you want to first call out the problem that people are experiencing very clearly, and you want them to think, this is exactly me. Then you want to agitate the problem, really make them feel it, and really turn up the heat. Describe all of the things that they've already tried and failed at. Lastly, you want to present your solution as the clear way out of their problem and give them a compelling reason to act. For ecom, you can do the exact same thing with pain points and solutions, but it doesn't need to be as copy heavy since it's lower ticket than B2B. Depending on the level of education of your prospect and where you're actually getting traffic from, this section can be longer or shorter, and it can either be right underneath your hero section or further down on the page. The best part about this section is it not only increases the quantity of leads or sales, but it also increases the quality. We use it on our own landing pages, and I cannot tell you how many people come to calls that are already pre-educated, pre-sold, and ready to buy. Technique number 2, nail your above the fold. This is the topmost area of any landing page that is immediately visible without scrolling, and it is the only section that statistically 60% of people will never even scroll past, but 100% of your users will see. I want you to spend 80 to 90% of your effort just on this one section when starting out, because it's complete make or break. So to implement this, the very first thing you need is a benefit-driven headline that highlights the dream outcome and answers that question of why should I care? Try to quantify the value as much as possible in the form of numbers and communicate how quickly someone can expect to receive results. The body text should then elaborate on who you are and what it is you do to achieve the results that you just mentioned in your headline. Next, you need to have social proof above the fold. I recommend stacking social proof, which is basically having 2 forms. We've A/B tested this a lot across our higher traffic clients, and it's just been really successful. Finally, you need a large benefit-driven CTA button followed by reducing of FUDs, which is fear, uncertainty, doubts. Right? So this could be things like money back guarantees, free trials, return policies, etc. We did all of this for Inboxy in this before and after, and we saw a 146% increase in qualified leads and conversions. We also did this for our e-commerce client, Parcel Safety, and we saw a 64% lift in conversions. Bonus tip for mobile, which is where 90% of traffic is these days, is you need to try and present as much information as possible without overwhelming people. We did this for Soul Thrillers, where they were struggling with a 1% conversion rate for the longest time, and just by implementing this on mobile, they saw a 108% lift in conversions and qualified leads. Technique number 3, sell with images. The human brain processes images 60,000 times faster than text. So while copy is important, your images need to do it justice by being relevant to your messaging and reinforcing your core value prop. There are dozens of ways to implement this, especially in e-commerce. The first is in your navigation, where instead of just a traditional text-based menu, you actually incorporate icons and images to help people visualize what your product looks like, and it creates an additional sense of intrigue and incentive for them to actually click into the product. We implemented this for Parcel Safety in the form of an A/B test, and we saw a 61.7% lift in conversions and a 92% increase in the revenue per visitor. On product pages, don't just show boring photos, right? Turn them into mini infographics where you can basically show your value props on the image itself. We've done this across multiple clients and easily seen 70 to 90% lifts in conversions just from this one change alone. For B2B or SaaS, actually show off your product in the form of illustrations or graphics, right? Don't just use generic stock photos. We did this for Influence Hunter, where their before version just had a boring photo of a phone with their logo on it, and the after version was taking all of their UGC content that they've created on behalf of their clients and putting putting it in a creative form of a carousel. We saw a 78% lift in conversions and leads just from this change. Even just highlighting photos of your team if you're service-based can build a ton of credibility and emotional connection. Technique number 4, treat your website or landing page like it's a salesperson. One of the most common mistakes I see with landing pages and websites is that people think if someone clicks on an ad or just comes from social media, that somehow they're just going to magically convert on the page and that you don't need to do any convincing. But I can assure you, it definitely does not work right now. People are getting absolutely bombarded by ads and the market is super hyper competitive, which means you really have to do something to stand out and take that extra level to convince people why they should reach out in the first place. Here are actual pages I found on both the B2B and e-com side where they have no explanation of their value prop whatsoever, and the worst part is they're actually running paid traffic to these pages. It pains me because they're literally throwing money down the drain. So get out of your head that your page needs to be short. Some of the highest converting pages we've built at our agency are multiple sections long. So get a pen and paper and simply just write out all of the unique selling points and value props of your product or service. For B2B, it could be things like communication, experience, reputation, time saved, revenue impact, etc. For e-com, it could be things like the ingredients of your product, the quality, or the technology you use. Whatever it is, write it down and convert those into 5 to 7 high converting headlines and body text and scatter those throughout your page in the form of sections. Make sure your headline communicates the benefit in the headline itself, right? Like saving time or money. Do not use the feature. You can use my free landing page prompt framework to come up with high converting copy in seconds, link in the description below. Technique number 5 is what I call building social proof that's actually proof. So social proof are things like reviews, testimonials, feature publications, anything that builds trust. And yes, social proof does help your conversions, but the problem is right now in the marketplace is that everyone is using social proof. So much so that people have become super skeptical. The classic example these days is using the featured on logos. People have subconsciously become so numb to these because it's so overdone. This page, for example, has the same 3 featured on logos that are repeated on a carousel, which might not be intentional, but it completely erodes all sense of trust with me and this company. What I recommend instead is taking those same featured on logos and adding a quote from the publication itself that adds that extra layer of trust and credibility. We did this for a client, Wild Men Drinking, where they were featured on places like Joe Rogan's podcast, and when we implemented this, we saw a massive boost in conversions. Another big one is putting reviews without any details. I mean, this could literally be anyone. If I don't have a photo, I'm gonna immediately think that this is fabricated and fake. Put the photo of the person leaving the review and leave details about them like their job or their position. You should also put the source of the review, like whether it's from Trustpilot or Google or Capterra, because that way people can actually verify it and it's a lot more credible. Video reviews in particular are the cream of the crop in terms of verifiable reviews and building trust and credibility. Now, there's nothing stopping you from taking everything I've shown you and using it on your own site or landing page. But what usually helps way more is seeing someone actually do it in real time. So click here to check out the next one where I literally build a landing page from scratch using all of the techniques I showed here and a couple that I didn't, so that you can actually see what this looks like in practice. Oh, and one more thing, that video is actually more of a challenge. So if you want to see me sweat and race against the clock, head over there.